what I did is I looked him in the eye and I said, John Bocherry, I don't care whether cap and trade was a John McCain issue. I don't care whether it was a Sarah Palin issue. And I don't care whether it was a Republican issue. It's an issue that you shouldn't have voted for, and it's an issue that this district doesn't deserve you voting for. And that's the truth on that answer. So you'll hear him say some of those things. We also have the health care vote. Quite frankly, my opponent was one of 7 that voted against it before he voted for it.
After the vote was in.
There's a lot of reasons why he voted for it, but you're right, he voted for it. I am really surprised at the number of people, because my opinion is we need to repeal that vote. We need to repeal the health care. I'm not going to tell you that we don't need health care reform, because we do need health care reform. But the reform we need has to take in consideration costs. 85% of our problem is cost, 15% is coverage. The only thing we did with that health care bill is take care of the coverage side. The costs are going up drastically. I've talked to business owners across this district, 28%, 38%, 52%, 68% increase in their health care premium. That bill is a job-killing bill, and we need to repeal it. Well, and again, John Bocherry knows that the district, there was polling done before, and I'm not an advocate of always looking at polling, but there was a poll that was done before John Bocherry cast that vote, and it said this district did not want him to vote for health care. And, he seems to be able to dig up a lot of other information. You think he would have been able to dig up that poll. So that's who you have with Jim Renacci. I can tell you, we're getting close. The ads are going to go up. The mudslinging is going to continue, not by my side, but by the other side. All I ask you to do is, as that occurs, because I get people always asking questions, how about this issue, how about that issue? Well, just remember, they're putting up half-truths. You need to get the other half. Look at the website, call my campaign, call me directly, but you will find out that whatever you hear is normally a half-truth. And what you really need to do is get the complete truth, and then you make your decision. And I hope I can earn your vote over the next 50-some days. And this election is not the most important election in your lifetime. It's the most important election in the country's lifetime. And keep that in mind as we go through the next 50-some days. What I thought I would do now is open it up for questions, and we have a small enough group that please feel free to ask questions, and I will try and answer them as best I can. We'll start over here.
Yes, sir. As you said quite accurately, we don't know Jim Renacci. And I think you're a fine man, and I'm certainly going to vote for you. The people in Wadsworth know. The rest of the district doesn't. And so it gives the Democrats a phenomenal opportunity to identify Jim Renacci for us. And frankly, they lie. You can call it half-truths, you can call it distorted truths, you can call it any little nice name you want to put with it, but those are all nice ways of saying lie. And they lie. And you've got to do something to counteract the lies. We get the mailings in mass. They've got a phenomenal amount of money behind them. We get the mailings in mass. We hear the radio ads in mass. I mean, they're even advertising on the radio on 640, which is primarily a conservative station. You need to you need to fight back. And you need to fight back in the same venue so that you reach the same audience and the same ears and the same eyes that the lies do.
Sure.
Tell me you plan on doing that.
Well, here's the way I'm best going to answer that, and you actually hit the nail on the head. You need to respond back in the same media. The problem is, ASME has spent over $500,000 in advertising. All right, John Bocheri has now gone up with a couple $100,000 of advertising. All in, ASME has said they're going to spend $750,000. All right, start adding up some of those numbers and you're at $1 million. It's sad, but the way politics works is you have to have the money to be able to respond. My campaign does not have $1 million. All right, so what we need to do is we need to get out. We need to have town halls like this. We need to use Facebook and all the other mediums, because we will not be able to go one-on-one with the dollars that are being spent. Now, I will tell you this, there's some positive things. There is a commercial now running, which is, again, I didn't know they were even coming in. And they're running ads on the healthcare bill and Mr. Bocheri. So there are some other people starting to step up for Jim Renacci, but I can't guarantee that. I can't tell if they're going. But I will say this, we're going to work continuously between now and November 2nd. We are going to start to put up some TV ads. Don't forget, so will John Bocheri be putting up some TV ads. You know, I believe the Republican Party will be helpful, but I can't guarantee that. But we're going to continue the fight over the next 6 weeks. But what I really need, remember, most people don't like John Bocheri right now and the votes he cast. I just need you to make sure that you remind your friends and 10 of your closest associates. This is a guy and these are his votes. We don't know Jim Renacci. It's part of the problem. I got to get out to almost 500,000 people, all in the district, 480,000 I think is the number. I'm out every day. I meet 50 to 70 people a day. If I do that during the whole span of when I jumped into November 2nd, I'll meet between 10 and 12,000 people. I still can't get the word out if you don't get the word out. And the message is important. And you need to be able to take this message to your friends. But I'm going to do the best I can. The one thing I'll promise you is not only will I fight as hard as I can here, but when I get to Washington, I'll fight even harder for all of you. Sure. Let's face it, there are a lot of things we need to get done, but the two most important things, jobs and cutting spending. We have to cut spending. We have to get jobs back. As a business owner, and I am a business owner today, I'm not going to employ a soul until somebody gives me certainty and predictability. We don't have that right now. As a business owner, when you get up tomorrow morning, as I will, I don't know what my tax rates are going to be. I don't know what my health care costs are going to be. I don't know what my cap and trade, if that legislation does come back and is passed, what's going to be. So I'm not going to do anything. We can do a lot just by bringing certainty and predictability. I've said all along, my 4 beliefs are this, because I'm running, so you know, as an American first. I'm a firm believer. This is an American problem. This isn't a Democratic problem. This isn't a Republican problem. This is an American problem. But I am running as a Republican because I believe in 4 main principles. I believe we need less government. I believe we need less taxes. I believe we need personal responsibility. And I believe we need a strong military. And I'm going to go to Washington with those 4 beliefs. So that's where I'm going to go. But we have to get spending in line, and we have to get jobs back here.
But, you know, hopefully you get elected. As a freshman congressman, you know, what avenues would you like to take? What, and, you know, what assurances can you give to your constituents that, you know, I won't stand for this?
Yeah, that's a pretty easy question for me, because I will tell you, I've said this time and time again. When somebody goes down to Congress and they need the job, like John Bocheri needs it, he's going to do whatever he can to keep that job. What you have in me, and it's pretty much what our founding fathers talked about. You have somebody who has spent his time in the district. creating jobs, giving back to his community, raising a family, I now can tell you that I can go down there and I don't need the career. What I really need to do is go down there and represent all of you. So that's the real key. And I can tell you that I will go down there with that attitude, that the goal here is to represent the people of the 16th district. And if I don't, you all need to do the exact same thing you need to do with John Bocherian on November 2nd. You need to remove him, and if I don't do it, you need to remove me.
I'm Roberta Pratt. I'd like to know where you stand on eminent domain.
Eminent domain.
Meaning that the government can come in and take over the properties that belong to personal people.
Well, I can tell you, of course, that's not, we're talking about a local issue or more than anything. But in local issues, I think that any time it deals with the safety of a community, then eminent domain, of course, that's the reason we have eminent domain. So if there's reasons for safety, we need to be able to use eminent domain. If it's reasons for economic development, not a good idea. Well, again, now you're talking about the necessary of a school building being built. One thing good about eminent domain, as you're probably aware, is when eminent domain is brought out, there has to be fair compensation for the property. And I think the question would be, the citizens have to decide whether their elected officials in a school board are doing the right thing. And that's really the way that should be directed. We need to make more accountability to our school board members. We need to make more accountability to our council members and our mayors, because those are the issues that really eminent domain falls primarily with.
Just a preface first. When we try to contact Mr. Boccieri or Mr. Brown, we do it and we generally get some kind of a canned response that says, "Thank you for contacting me," and all the other blah blah that goes with it. There's really no substance in the response to the question. So I'm going to say, when you're elected, how accessible will you be, and how can we get a response to know that you're being accountable to us?
Sure. Is anybody here from Wadsworth? Okay. What you'll find out in Wadsworth was that even though I was a mayor of a community of approximately 25,000 people, that I tried to stay accountable and be available to them. Ask my wife. Sometimes I was up until 1 o'clock in the morning answering questions on the phone, because I believe that's the number one thing we should be able to do. What you'll also find out in my businesses, that I always wanted to have a good communication. Now, I'm not going to tell you I have all the answers on how I'm going to take care of 400,000 people versus 25,000, but the one thing I know about Jim Renacci is I believe communication is the key to anything. So I'm going to figure out a way to be able to communicate and not make it a canned issue, because that's what I believe in. Now, in the city of Wadsworth, I used to go to the people. Instead of having meetings like this, and I appreciate all of you being here, in the city of Wadsworth, I used to say, you know what, I'm the mayor, I've got to figure out how to get to the people. Because we'd have a meeting and we might get 5 people show up. And this is ridiculous. So what I would do is I'd go to the homeowners associations. And I found that I was able to communicate with a lot more people by going to their meetings instead of they coming to mine. That's what I did in Wadsworth. I'm going to make sure I communicate with the people in the 16th district. Canned answers aren't appropriate. You need to at least have an answer. Now, sometimes a canned answer, I don't want to call it a canned answer, but a standard answer is the answer you would give to 1,000 people when you would send that answer out. But I actually like the idea of one-on-one communication. Today, how many people are on Facebook? Anybody on Facebook will know that you can get a hold of me almost any time during the day. You can send me a message, and I get it on my phone. You can send me it every night. I go on Facebook, and I know my campaign staff says you got to quit doing that. But every night before I go to bed, I spend about an hour on Facebook answering people's questions. Interesting enough, when I get on Facebook, there'll be a little pop, anybody knows Facebook knows there's a pop-up line down the bottom. I'll start getting bing, bing, bing. People are asking me questions. I respond to them. I'm not going to give that up. I believe that's my way of being able to communicate, and I think